We are proving in this unit that triangles are similar, okay? And before I give you the ways to prove triangles are similar, there are two things that we're going to have to look at, two super, super important things. So the first thing to prove triangles are similar is that angles are congruent. We talked about this a couple units ago. Angles are going to be congruent. And the second one is sides are proportional. Angles are congruent and sides are proportional. For sides to be proportional, that means we're looking at the scale factor. So if the sides have the same scale factor, we can prove that those triangles are similar. Now technically these two things work for any figure, so if I wanted to prove that two rectangles were similar, I would show that all of the angles are congruent and all of the sides are proportional. And I could do that for triangles, but that would be a lot, right? So triangles have 3 angles and 3 sides, so I'd have to show 3 pairs of angles are congruent and 3 sets of sides are proportional. We can do all of that work, but we can also kind of skip all that work too. So for similar triangles, there are only 3 ways to prove triangles are similar. Here are 3 ways. With congruency, there are 5. So there are 3 ways to prove triangles are similar. The first way, which was not a part of congruency, is angle, angle. That proves triangles are similar. The second way is side, side, side. And the third way is side, angle, side. Okay, so we only have 3 ways. If you come up with a different way, you cannot use it to actually prove that the triangles are similar. So far, so good? Okay. Quick recap, and I'm just going to kind of talk about it. I'm not going to write anything out. Angle pairs. What's an angle pair? We did it in our review unit at the very beginning of the semester. What would be an angle pair? Who remembers? How about alternate interior angles? Remember we talked about those? We reviewed them at the beginning of the semester. You learned about them last year. Alternate interior angles. What else? Alternate exterior angles. Vertical angles.
Corresponding angles.
Corresponding angles. And there's one more. Consecutive interior or same side interior. We can call them either or. Okay. I want you to keep those angle pairs in mind as we go through these because it may help you identify angle pairs and determining if angles are congruent. Okay? All right. We're going to kind of jump in and we're just going to practice these a lot. We're literally doing this for the next 4 days. So we're going to be real good at the end of the week. Okay? All right. Explain why the triangles are similar and write a similarity statement. Explain why the triangles are similar and write a similarity statement. You're going to want to draw out every single one of these triangles, and it will probably take us a couple pages, just FYI. Take a second and draw out the triangles. Okay, before we start doing anything to the triangles, what can you tell me? Well, first of all, do you see the two different triangles? Everyone sees triangle 1 and triangle 2? Okay, what can you tell me about this figure? Is there anything you can tell me about this figure that you think might be important? They share an angle, okay? So what angle do they share? Q. Okay, everyone see they share angle Q? I'll take that. That's going to be important, so keep that in your head. Is there anything else you notice about these figures that's important? Haley? They both have parallel lines. Now, mine's not drawn perfectly, but these two sides are parallel. So PT is parallel to SR. Everyone agree with that? Okay, so when we are determining if triangles are similar, we only have 3 options. One of them we deal with angles. One of them we deal completely with sides. The other one we have angles and sides. So as you're going to pick which one, like as you look through to try to pick which one, look at your figure and see what information you possibly have. The first thing I ask myself is, do I know any information about sides? Do I know numbers about any of the sides? Am I given any numbers on sides? No, which means I'm probably not using side, angle, side, and I'm definitely not using side, side, side. I know nothing about the sides. Do you agree with that? Which means my only option left is angle, angle. Okay? Now, you look at that and you're like, great, but I don't know anything about the angles. Right? But do we? What do we know about the angles? Michaela kind of just gave us something that we know about the angles. They share an angle. Let's think back to our angle pairs. What kind of angles are these? Vertical angles. And what do you know about vertical angles? They're what? They're congruent. And when we're proving angles, the angles have to be congruent. So this angle and this angle are going to be congruent to each other because they are vertical angles. Now we need to actually name that angle. And naming it angle Q doesn't really help us because I don't know which one you're talking about. So when you're naming a vertical angle, you have to use 3 letters. So our first one we're going to name is P. Whoops, how about I do this one because I started with an R. My bad. So R, angle R, Q, S. So R, Q, S. The angle that you're talking about, that letter is always in the middle. Do you remember that from IM1? Yeah? Is congruent to angle PQT. And I'm going to show you why I wrote it that way in a second. So angle RQS is congruent to angle PQT. And if you just want to make a note to yourself, we know that they're congruent because they're vertical angles. You don't always have to write that, but it's helpful right now as we're going through notes. Okay, so I know I have one pair of angles. I need to find another pair of angles that's congruent. Do we know another pair of angles that would be congruent? Annie. Angle T and angle S. How come? Okay, so Annie says angle S and angle T. Now I told you, remember we talked about our angle pairs? Anytime you see parallel lines, this is a transversal. So here's my 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal. They're on opposite sides and they're inside the parallel line, so they're alternate interior angles. So angle S is congruent to angle T. And again, I'm just going to write alternate interior angles so I know. Now, I don't have to find another angle because I'm good, but what other angles would be congruent? P and R, why? What kind of angles are those? Alternate interior angles as well. Okay, but with similar triangles, all we have to do is prove 2, which we did. So I wrote out which one I'm using. I'm filling in the information, and my last step is to write a similarity statement. Okay, so if I tell you triangle PQT, what would triangle PQT be similar to? Triangle PQT. RQS. Because P and R are congruent, S and T are congruent, so they have to be in the same order. Everyone see that? If you're lost, I promise we're going to be practicing this a lot. Are we okay? Okay. Let's look at another one. And the only way to really practice these is to do 1,000,000 of them. So once you draw this, I want you to talk to your group, and I want you to decide if you're going to use angle, side, or side, angle, side, and have a why. Which one do you think you're going to use and why? Okay, who can tell us what they chose? Angle, side, side, angle, side, and why? Nobody? No one wants to just go for it and be confident in their answer? Go ahead, Annie.
Side angle side.
Side angle side. Why did you choose side angle side?
They share the J, and we know the information about their sides.
Okay, so Annie says they share the J, and we know some information about the sides. Anyone have a different option? Anyone go with angle? No? Why not? Why'd you not go with angle?
Because we have no information about the angles.
Okay, so you don't see any information about the angles, but you see information about the sides, right? So that gives you side, or side, angle, side. How many of you went with side, side? Okay. Yeah, there are more than the 2 people that just kind of fake raise their hand real quick. Why'd you choose side, side? You guys are normally all about talking and sharing. Right? No. Why'd some of you choose side, side? Haley?
Because you have more information about the sides.
You have more information about the sides. Okay, so for side, you have to have 3 sides, correct? First of all, does everybody see 2 triangles?
Yes.
Everyone sees the top small triangle and then the whole thing, which is the large triangle. Yes. Okay, so in order to use side, you have to have information about all 3 sides of each triangle. So if I just look at the top small triangle, do I have information about all 3 sides? No. If I look at the whole triangle, do I have information about all 3 sides? No. Okay, so angle we eliminated because I see information about sides. I actually have to eliminate side because I don't have information about all 3 sides, which means my only option then is side, angle, side. Let's start plugging in some information. So remember, angles are congruent, sides are proportional. And when we're looking at sides, it has to be the whole side of the triangle. So I'm going to help you through the first one. So for instance, JK would be proportional to what? JK we'd have to match up with what? JM. Great. Okay, so JK is 2. What's JM? What's the length of JM? 6. JM is this whole distance, so it's 6. And then my scale factor would be 1/3. Right? Huh?
Initially, what they were saying was, you said JK and they were saying JL.
Oh, they were?
Not JM.
Oh, I heard
but
J.
I get that, but
Okay.
I'm trying to explain it. You might want to.
Okay, so when we're comparing for similar triangles, you have to do the small triangle versus the big triangle. We can't compare side to side like we did when we were setting up proportions.
And if you get confused when she's going through this each time, the recommendation, draw both triangles. So draw JKL and then draw JMN.
And don't draw the line in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and leave the lines out or whatever you need. So you can see 2 triangles and then do the proportion. Only a couple more seconds.
So remember when we were able to set up like 2/3 and 4/6? What was important about that? Who remembers what was important about that? It had to show that those lines were parallel. If not, you were setting up big to small or small to big. Okay, so make sure for these ones, you're going small triangle to big triangle or big triangle to small triangle. Let's skip the angle for a second and let's go to the other side. So JL is going to be proportional to JN. What is JL? What is JN? And what is that reduced to? 1/3. So because my scale factor is the same for my sides, I'm good. But now I have to find an angle that's congruent. And Annie kind of already helped us with that. Annie told us that they share angle J. So angle J is congruent to itself. Who remembers the name of that property that allows the angle to be congruent to itself from IM1? The reflexive property. Again, I don't expect you to write that, but it's good to think about now. Once you have that written, I want you to put your pencil down because I want you to see something. Okay. Because we prove side angle side, it literally has to go in that order. So if you are struggling finding a side or an angle, if you write things out, it will be helpful. So for instance, here is my side, right? And it would be the same for the big triangle. Here is my angle, and then my side is right next to it. Okay, I can't skip sides and angles. So side, angle, side, all together. Everyone see that? And then here, up here was angle, angle. I'm allowed to skip a side because I only have 2 angles that I'm dealing with. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, let's try another one. Yes? Okay. Oh, nope. We need to write a similarity statement. So I'm going to give you one. Triangle LKJ is similar to triangle. So I said LKJ is similar to triangle what? Good. NMJ. Triangle LKJ is similar to triangle MNJ. So on your test, you'll have to do this part, and I will give you the first part of the similarity statement, and you then have to match it. Okay, so you won't have to write your own completely, but you do have to make sure you match it. Are we okay with that? Okay, I'm going to give you one to try, I think. I need to flip my page. Okay, I want you and your group to solve this how you'd like. Okay, so take a second, take a few minutes with your group and see if you can solve this problem. So figure out which one you're going to use. So angle, angle, side, 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 angle, side, and see if you can solve it. All right, for those of you that chose side, 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 you looked at it and probably said, I know information about all three sides, right? Okay, but hopefully before you started to set things up, you found some missing pieces. Really, the only piece you need is DG. What is DG? 11. 33 minus 22 is 11. If you found this piece over here, you got 26, but that doesn't really help us when we're setting up a proportion for triangle similarity. So if we go side, 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 let's start here. So DF would compare to what? DF and DB, giving me 13 over 39, which is 1/3. Okay, let's do the next side. So DG and what? DC. DG is 11, DC is 33, so it's still 1/3. What would be my last side I need to compare? FG and BC. FG is 8, BC is 24, and I get 1/3. So because all three sides are proportional, my triangles are congruent. So let's say triangle FDG. What is triangle FDG similar to? BDC. Okay, that was one option. So I could use side, side, side for that. I also had enough information to do side, angle, side. Okay, so I'm going to give you both so you have it. Well, here's my first side, so I've already done that, right? I know it's 13 over 39, which reduces to 1/3. And I'm going to put an S there. Here would be my second side. So 11 over 33, which reduces to 1/3. And what would be my angle? Angle D is congruent to itself. Okay, so side, 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 or side, angle, side would have worked for this problem. Are you okay with that? Yeah? Okay. Let's look at another one. I don't think we're going to have homework tonight. I think we're just going to finish notes till the end. Is that okay?
Yes.
I have two more that I'd like to get done. So this one plus one more. At first glance, what do you think you're going to use here? Angle, angle, why? Well, I see angles. Do I see anything about sides? Nope. So I'm probably going to use angle, angle. So which one's obvious? Angle Q and angle A? So angle Q is congruent to angle A. And we know that because they're both 72 degrees. What about another angle? Do you see another angle? S is congruent to what? Itself. They both share angle S. Angle's nice because all you have to do is find two angles quickly, right? A lot less work. All right, so what if I tell you triangle SAB? What is triangle SAB similar to? Good. Are we okay with that? Yeah, McKenna.
So for those similarity statements, we don't have to like the same exact thing, right? Like it can be different.
Yeah, it can be different, but I think on all of our assignments, I give you the first part of it and you have to, so they have to match up, but if you were choosing them on your own, it may be different than mine. But I think I give you the first one for all of them and then ask you to fill in the second one. Okay? All right, I think, okay. I think we're just going to have enough time to draw this one. So get this one drawn in your notebook and then you can pack up and we will do this one tomorrow.